and welcome back to the Rugby Connection podcast, the only fan-run podcast to get all the news from the rugby world. Well, it's Super Saturday, done and dusted, 24/6 Nations, over and out. I've got two very happy gentlemen with me this week. Andy returns for the second week in a row, and returning after what feels like forever, Marcello has graced us with his presence as well. How are we getting on, lads?
Fantastic. Hungover, but fantastic.
Yeah, what he said.
And I'm the opposite, but we'll get straight into it. Super Saturday. It's just the best time of the year for the rugby neutrals, for the rugby faithful. Just sit, watch the rugby all day. Yeah, no complaints unless the results. Unless I'm Scottish, yeah, that's fair. We'll straight into Cardiff, where they've done it again. The Azzurri, a famous victory in Wales, 24-21, but it wasn't as close as the scoreline lets on. Absolutely not. I said this to Andy last week. I think Italy were going to be a lot more confident and just going to get a big win. And it looked like for most of it, they were 18-0 up at one point. I'm going to pass over to the Italian because I feel like I want to feel the passion. So, Marcello, it's all yours.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm still feeling slightly worse for wear, so I'm not sure how passionate I'm going to be today. But, yeah, I think other than maybe, I think when Wales score their try, and I'm still a little bit disappointed in the decision, actually, because I think double movement, but sort of irrelevant anyway in the end. But I thought maybe for like the brief sort of 5 minutes there, I was feeling a little bit nervous. But otherwise, that was a really confident, I've said it a couple of times, really mature, organised, disciplined performance based on defence. We can talk about our centre partnership all night long, and I think we probably will do for a long time to come. But that's what it was based on. It was based on brutal defence, aggressive defence, and we scored two wonderful tries. We play in the right areas. We were clinical when we did have our chances. So, yeah, and Wales finished with a couple of tries to make it look a little bit more respectful on the scoreboard. But I said before, sort of Italy by maybe 10 or 12 points, and that was pretty much the case. And it was that sort of game. Look, Wales weren't great. First half, they really struggled. I felt I shouldn't really feel that sort of comfortable in a game watching Italy. I mean, we don't win very often, but after we'd sort of got the first points on the board and we'd scored that first try, I just sort of sat back and just don't think we lose this. Never really had that. So that was a welcome feeling. And yeah, even when it got a little bit squeaky in that moment, we win two penalties. I think Garbisi wins both. I'm not sure if he does win both the breakdown. He definitely wins one of them. Pajarello hits one penalty, Garbisi hits another, and inside 5 minutes, we've sort of squashed any sort of hope that Wales had of winning the game. So, yeah, look, we needed to win. We had expectation. We had the pressure. We weren't favourites in the end, which is crazy, but we dealt with it, and that was the best thing. We've gone 3 games unbeaten, which we've never done before. Back-to-back wins in Cardiff. So we're actually now more successful in Cardiff than we have been in Rome in the last 11 years.
Which is
bonkers. Which is bonkers. But yeah, it was a great day. Another step in the right direction. And finishing with a flourish, even though we finished 5th, which still feels a bit frustrating, to be honest. I just don't feel like we were the 5th best team in the tournament, which is, if we got the bonus point, things might have been different if other things had gone our way. But, we won't worry too much about that. It was just a really good performance. I'm really pleased.
Absolutely. Yeah. Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to add, is there? Like, they were comfortable. Like, until the end, when I think, after they'd scored those 2 penalties, they knew they'd done enough, and then it got a bit looser and Wales got a couple of scores. But, like, did you know what stood out to me was in the beginning of the game, there was that moment where Ioane shot up and hit Cam Winnett and made him drop the ball, Italian scrum around the halfway line. I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen Italy with enough confidence to be like making plays like that, like to be going to an away game and early doors being like, okay, we know we can get them, like, and having a few clever plans in their head, having a few things they want to do. And then Ioane's turning around, he's clapping, he's smiling. The body language is amazing from all the Italian players. Like, they are like a transformed team. And like you say, wouldn't you feel transformed if you had Marcello and Brex at the center, and like you knew that you had two guys of that level running your defense for you? Like, you've got a great back row as well. Like, it's so nice to see. We always wanted Italy to improve. We always wanted stuff to get better, and it's so nice to see like the basics going well. Like, you scored your first try, perfect exit afterwards. That's the kind of thing that Italy always used to come unstuck, right? They do a good thing and then a couple of bad things, and you just aren't seeing that as much anymore, which is amazing. And some job Quesada's done, because Italy were in disarray after the World Cup, and he's come in and he's made them much tougher to beat, and it's just awesome to see. I was absolutely loving it.
In so little time, I think we were all really worried. We were really worried that Quesada was basically going to have a couple of weeks before that first game against England, and we were all thinking, goodness me, we're coming out of a really bad World Cup. Crowley's gone. Quesada's come in, and he's got a couple of weeks to try and sort something out. And it just felt like we were all a little bit worried as to what might happen. But what he's been able to do, and you can see it's not like it was a sort of luck involved. Like in all bar one game against Ireland, Italy were brilliant across that tournament, and defensively was the big thing, like the aggressive defense. That's what it was based on, playing rugby in the right places, not being stupid. That's what, and he's turned it around so quickly, and it's now super exciting to see what he's now got time and to see where we can go from here, because it looks like it's going to go up and up and up.
What have Italy got on in the summer? What does the summer look like for them?
Oh God, now you're asking me. I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm generally forgotten.
Just that awkward pause of silence there.
That's what everybody wants on a podcast.
Speaking of on the opposite, I mean, you are now 8th in the world rankings.
Oh yeah,
which is it's just nice to see. It felt like so long before you were in the top 10. You're in the top 10 now, and you're just making leaps and bounds, and it is fun. It is really fun, and it's just good to watch Italian rugby at the moment, for sure.
I think we've got a summer tour with quite a few tier 2 countries. I want to say, I feel like we might have.
We'll sort it later. It's all good. On to the middle game, the game that me and Andy were most invested in. I don't even know where to start. First of all, Ireland, back-to-back Six Nations champions, well-deserved. 17-13 win over Scotland. But even in defeat, oh my God, the defensive effort of Scotland. I've never seen us defend like that. 232 tackles on your boys, and we missed 20. That's ridiculous. But you were there. You were loud and proud at the Aviva, Andy. I'll let you take over.
Yeah, I would. Like, you're 100% right on the defence. Like, the first half, like, Ireland looked pretty ordinary with the ball. Like, couldn't really get any momentum going. It all felt quite stilted. Scotland were just winning collisions everywhere. How good was Christie?
Honestly, so good. I'm so glad we finally getting a chat. When I started picking him for like my predicted starting team, we were like, there's no way Andy Christie starting over Jamie Ritchie, and surely he's behind Hamish Watson. No, he's not, and he's just proved why. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was class.
It just shows you that form merits a start, and he's only 24. We've got a long term back rower there. Just keep it going, Andy. We'll love you.
Absolutely. And yeah, but it was a weird game. Like, the first half was awful to watch. Like, you gave us the points. We were very lucky to get that from that line out. Second half, Ireland were a bit better, but they looked, in the first half, they looked really flat. Second half, they managed to find some more energy somewhere. I think last weekend really took it out of them. I think, like, the emotional impact of losing that game to England, I think they were exhausted by it, and they just seemed tired. But they did enough, right? All they had to do was win or draw, and they did enough. So, yeah, another Six Nations. It's brilliant to see. It's like, with all the talk of the Grand Slam, especially some people at home, we're definitely getting a bit bit complacent. They're like, oh, sure, who cares when it's not a Grand Slam? But I don't understand that attitude at all.
I got in my comments are like, there's getting 4 wins out of 5. There's nothing to celebrate. I'm like, what? Yes,
winning a title. That's what it's about.
I think part of that is because it started with that really massive win in France, and I think that set the tone for everyone. Thought that was going to be the game in which whoever wins is going to go on and win the Six Nations, because Ireland and France are considerably above the other, in my opinion, the rest. And to start like that, it just felt like Ireland's campaign has sort of never really quite got back to the heights of that day in France. I think that's probably where this, what is this sort of campaign, especially losing to England? I think maybe if they beat France yesterday like that, or they beat them in round 4, it might be a bit different. But because it started so high, everyone just kept thinking it's going to reach those standards again, and I just never think it did. So I think that's maybe where this has come from. But nothing to be sniffed at. Back-to-back championships, and losing only one in that 2-year spell is pretty good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm now getting the same thing as I got last week, but even more powerful now because we've walked away with only 2 wins. I said it to you last week, Andy. This Scotland team doesn't feel a 2-win team. It feels like we could have done a lot more. We were very complacent against Italy. Italy wanted it more. I gave them all the credit. I felt like we wanted this game more, and we just couldn't get that going. Hugh Jones scored a great try, but it was far too late in the day to get anything going.
Brilliant try.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
He absolutely sell. It's James Lowe that he just sends for the paper, doesn't he?
Bang, gone.
Oh man, ankles. Ouch,
mate. If you give him space, he's bloody good.
Yeah, Murray, I was going to ask you, like, what do you sort of make of this tournament? Because if I'm being brutally honest, I would say that it's another failed tournament for Scotland. That's not me just being sort of clickbait or anything. I just think because for the last 4 or 5 years, it seems to be every time it's this is Scotland's year. We're going to see it this year, and it just seems to always sort of falter, and it never really gets off the ground, and it just feels like this is another tournament of that.
I think I don't have the answer. It does feel a bit disappointing. I was a bit gutted at full time. I kind of just had England France on as background noise for the most part because I was just kind of a bit doom and gloom. I was trying to hold back the tears in my video on TikTok, and that wasn't for clout. That's generally just how I feel. I don't like getting beat. I hate it. It generally ruins the day. But I don't know what is going on with Scotland. Like I don't think Townsend should go. I know there's a lot of people out for him. And like me and Andy spoke about it in depth last week. Even if you were to sack him, who'd you bring in? There's nobody. Like Sean Everett's doing all right in Edinburgh, but it's very early on for him to say, "I'm the next Scotland coach." Same for Franco Smith at Glasgow. It's his first season. There's no proper front runner that you've got right. If Townsend walks now, this man's slotting in come summertime. But I think we are on the right tracks. We were really bad for just picking name value in the last few years that weren't in the best of form. And it seems now that we're actually picking players that are doing the hard work for club, getting that call up, and then straight in, like Andy Christie is the best example of that. Elliot Miller-Mills came out of essentially nothing. It looked like it was going to be Xander starting and VP now, the old boy, on the 18 position. But Elliot Miller-Mills, I know he's not the youngest, but again, it was a fresher face. Alec Hepburn coming in. You've just got those fresher faces that are doing well at club level, that have earned a call up, and then they've come in and be like, "No, this is mine. I'm not just here to hold a tackle pad." And I love that. Stafford McDowell at the weekend didn't get a
very
sniff
good
in the whole tournament.
Very good in the first half, I thought. Really good in the first half.
And like Andy just said, very good first half. But again, that second half, I think we threw everything at it. There's generally nothing else we could have done. But I don't know what's next. It's tricky. I always back the boys. I'm always somewhat confident that we'll win on game day. Because next time we play Ireland, it's in Murrayfield. So whatever happened yesterday, chuck it away. It doesn't matter. No point in reflecting on the past. So Townsend should stay. Keep picking form players over name value, and let's just not try and get in our own heads. I felt like that was Duhan's issue as well. I don't like naming and shaming players, but it did feel like he tried to make things happen. Same against Italy. He almost forced his hand instead of letting it come naturally. Like like in the England game or even the Wales game, that he just kind of sat there and it just came naturally to him. Whereas if he's trying to force his hand, it doesn't work. But I'm very excited for the summer tour because you're going to get a lot of younger lads, a lot of fresh caps, a lot of new systems, a lot of new partnerships because we're going to Canada, USA, Chile, and Uruguay. Now, I'm not being rude to any of those countries. It'll be fun. You don't need Finn Russell there. You don't need Duhan van der Merwe there. You probably don't need Pierre Schumann there. Let's get Rory Sutherland more game time. It was nice to see him back. Let's have Stafford McDowell and Cam Redpath start at the centres. Let's give Ben Healy a chance at 10. Let's have Kyle Rowe back in the starting lineup. Let's have Andy Christie even captain in the side potentially. Let's go for it. That's it's definitely not the finished the finished article. I think we've got a lot to work on, and I do think the team and the squad, the management we've got now, I do think that is the right decision. Sorry, I waffled there. I hope that answered your question, Marcello.
Yeah, that was a good answer.
Thank you.
That's the best game of the tournament, in my opinion, to finish up.
Yeah, it was a good game.
It was just so good.
It's just everything. It's everything we all wanted it to be.
Mm.
France 33, England 31. Oh, what a way to end the tournament.
Yeah.
I'll let Andy start that one.
Go on, Andy. Sure.
Well, what about England's arc over the Six Nations? Because I know they didn't win, but like to go and I think they were a bit unlucky not to win. Like a couple of, you don't like to talk about refs, but a couple of decisions in that game I thought were a little bit baffling. And to go to France, they didn't. It's not Ireland went to France, got a big win. Everyone talked it up, but like they played with 14 men for the vast majority of the game. Like it wasn't like that. It was two teams actually going at it. England played some great stuff. France did too. Like that, the French try, the first try was just so good to watch. But like you say, it's just everything you want to see. But yeah, England's arc, I think, has been probably the most interesting thing about the tournament, along with Italy. Like, they've definitely gained the most from this tournament in terms of like blooding new players and getting that feel good factor back. And yeah, I'm properly nervous about this England team over the next couple of years. I think they're going to come pretty good again.
Yeah, and Ollie Lawrence as well. I mean, it was a Scotland game which he had a bit of not a mare, but he wasn't great. But he's ended the tournament really well. He was good against Ireland, and again, like it's that first try that he has. That if you give him that little bit of a yard or two from that close out, the guy's too big, too strong. You're not going to stop him. He is brilliant. He's from where I live, actually. I covered Worcester Warriors for a long time. So it's great to see him sort of kicking on and doing so well because he's definitely deserved it. But yeah, I've criticised England hugely at the World Cup. I thought they were just dreadful. They were a dreadful team playing dreadful rugby, and I slaughtered them big time. However, they've, like I've said it before, I think Italy and England come out of this tournament sort of with the most credit, I'd say, and I think because they've been so just good. I think England were so one-dimensional at the World Cup. They've sort of come into this campaign and they've sort of played a lot more. And you just have to give them credit. I think Borthwick's made some big decisions as well. Like everyone's saying, dropping Freddie Stewart, what you do in the best fullback in the world, according to Sam. And then, Furbank comes in and does what he does. I know he got injured yesterday, but he's made some big calls and he's played some players and I think he's done really well, actually. He got a lot of criticism and has done for quite a few months, and he's changed it around. So this is me officially giving England some credit. All right, there you go. Might not have too much, but there's their credit. They can have that. I'll give it to them.
It was good though. Like Ben Earl was actually slightly quiet. He's never a quiet player, but it felt a bit quieter for him, but I mean the rest still worked. It was fun, and a player I'm glad got to have a little highlight reel to round off the tournament was Damien Pinot. I felt he was very quiet the whole campaign, and then he just started slipping through players like he always does. Like the commentator even said he's got butter on his legs, which I loved. But he he doesn't look that big, and he doesn't look like he'll
No.
step in a phone box, but just can't get a hold of him. It's so bizarre.
Just loads of limbs. There's just
Mate.
limbs flying everywhere, and you don't really know where his legs are and his arms, and it all looks blurred
Very
into
wrong,
one.
yeah. But
I've seen him live a couple of times, and like, I don't understand how he beats people. He has no space. There's no space. I don't know how you make an international rugby player. how do you let them do that to you? But yeah, he's class. Did you see he's like top of a lot of the attacking individual stats now, just off the last 2 weeks?
just off that game,
Like, just off England and Wales, he's managed to put himself right up there.
Yeah, but I think, in giving England some credit, I think France deserve a bit of credit as well for the way they played yesterday. I think that we saw them back to playing the sort of rugby that we've all sort of fell in love with in the last sort of 2 years or so, and it would have been easy for them to have gone into that game really sort of. I think there was pressure on them to finish the campaign well, because obviously it's ultimately been a disappointment in the large, given results and what people expect of them. But you know, they played some good stuff against Wales, especially in the second half. And yesterday, they sort of played some brilliant rugby. And I still think, you know, they still play the best rugby I always want to watch. No one else can touch them in terms of entertaining rugby. I just think they're brilliant. And yesterday was just another perfect example, especially after, you know, straight after the second half, and in that second half to start with, you know, they lose their lead. England are right on top, and they still manage to sort of get their foot back in the door, and they managed to sort of kick back, and so I think they deserve some.
Yeah, showed some character, didn't they? Because it's been
Yeah.
But if they wouldn't have had a win at home if they didn't win yesterday. Like, would have been a pretty disastrous year.
That'd be really bad.
Yeah.
I'm scared for next year because obviously DuPont will be back in the mix, and then you've got Nolan Legaric on the bench. That's not fair. That's almost cheating, because Maxime Lucu is a very good scrum half, very different scrum half though. If you then have DuPont start, and then with like 15, 20 minutes to go, you bring on Legaric, you're going again just with fresher legs. That's not fair.
Mate, I can see it now. The move is whoever's playing 10, if they're chasing a game, they'll just shift DuPont to 10 and they'll bring on the Garrick, and they'll have both of them on at the same time.
That feels like rugby porn, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, that's the 2024 men's Guinness Six Nations, because Guinness also now own the next tournament, because there's no rest for the wicked anymore. The Guinness Women's Six Nations begins this weekend coming, and yeah, I'm all excited for it. I'm still quite new to the women's rugby, but I'm a big fan of it. Get to go to all the home games. Been lucky enough to interview a lot of the girls, not just for Scotland but for Wales, through England, for Italy. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's going to sound really stupid. It's a completely different game to the men's. It's just a different style, just different tactics, and it actually provides a different insight to watching the game as well. But can't really proper break down much because we haven't had any games yet. So we do predictions. Starting on Saturday, France hosting Ireland. I'll give it to Andy first.
So I'll have to come clean. I'm really not up on my women's rugby at all. Okay. So a lot of these are going to be pure dice roll guesses, but I'm pretty sure Ireland had a pretty tough year of it last year. Women's.
Yes.
So I'm going to say France.
Okay, that's fair. Makes sense.
Yeah.
You did win the WXB 3 over in October though, so you might have some confidence. But
okay. Well, I remember because there was a lot of off-field stuff. I think like there was a lot of issues about funding and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so I think it was a tough time for them.
It's still a very great area.
Yeah.
I think they're all professional.
That's the difficult thing is with this Women's Six Nations. I mean, I do try and watch it if I can, but I'll be the same. I'm not going to pretend that I watch it week in, week out. But I know for a fact that you've got England, who are just a million trillion miles away from everybody else on the planet.
Yep.
And then a little step back, a big step back is sort of France, and then another big step back is the rest of the tournament. So it's sort of sometimes you see these big scores, and it's not always great. But
there's like 4 tiers of like the
Yeah.
bracket into the 6. So it's like you said, England that have been professional for ages now and have like the world's best players, the world's best coaching staff. Then you've got France. I don't actually think the gap between France and England's that big. It is a proper like crunch when the two meet. Then you've kind of got like Wales, Scotland, Italy, like just turned pro. Like you could see the professional contracts starting to improve the squad, but they're not there yet. Which obviously it takes time, these things. And then sadly at the bottom is Ireland. And it's not that they don't have good players. They do. They've got very good players. It's just again that big gap of like funding, timing to train, getting the players back across, because a lot of the Irish girls are based in the Premiership. So getting them back across, I'd like to, but it's kind of like, best way I could describe it, it feels like what Italy was like when they first kind of joined, like very lost. Like you know what they were trying to do, but I feel like Ireland in the women's game is that. For those that don't watch women's rugby, I feel that's the best comparison I could give.
Unfortunately, it's not a level playing field.
No, it's definitely not a level playing field.
And ultimately, if you've got professional players playing against non-professional players, it's obviously not. There's obviously only one answer, isn't there, for that? So it's difficult. It's difficult, but you know in terms of prediction, it will be France.
It will be a France win, yeah. The next game is probably the tightest game you can get for round one. One finished third last year, one finished fourth. Wales versus Scotland at Cardiff Arms, and I'm very excited for this because Wales beat Scotland last year to get into the WXV1 tournament, where Scotland had to drop down to WXV2, but we won that, so I'll take that. And Scotland are actually on a 6-win game winning streak. So yeah, I'm very excited. They won the last 2 games last year, Six Nations, won their WXV warm up against Spain, and then obviously won all their WXV2 matches that won us the competition. So I'm very excited. There's a lot of talented players on both sides. Like Cecilia Tuipulotu is a standout to me on that Welsh team. Gwen Crabb's back from injury. She's just an absolute inspiration. She had a massive injury after the World Cup, managed to get back in time for the Six Nations, and blew out her ACL, and now she is back once again. And she's just incredible. She just never gives up. She has a never say die attitude. And she's also a friend of the show. Just plugging that as well. But I'm very excited. I'm full bias. Of course I am. We're all entitled. I'm very excited about where the Scotland team's going. There's a lot of talent coming through. Evie Gallagher. Boys, if you want to play fantasy team, get Evie Gallagher in your team.
Okay.
She is just fantastic. I'm not just saying that, but you've got Rona Lloyd, who's possibly one of the best wingers in the Northern Hemisphere. Just don't give her any space because she's been on the 7th circuit. She will just outrun you 9 times out of 10. Chloe Rowley, one of the most exciting fullbacks. It's good. I'm really excited. I'm biased as hell, backing my team. It's going to be close though. I will give credit to Wales. I think Scotland by 3, but I'll take that.
Wales by 1.
Wales by 1. That's fair.
Yeah.
I'll jump on the hype train with you, Murray. I'll say Scotland by 3 as well.
Yeah, and lastly, Italy against the best team in the women's game. England. Sorry.
Italy by 1.
Go on. Yes, I love that spirit. Yes, I love that.
Yeah, that's going to be.
What sort of margins are Italy normally looking at?
Italy. I think, like Murray said, it's a battle of Scotland, Wales, and Italy, sort of for that third place spot, and those the games that will be the tightest ones. Italy generally have been in the past sort of the best of those 3, and then I think last year was a bit of a disappointing year. Last year, I believe, but they have got some good players, and they've got some players that play in over in the Premiership. I know that, and so I think think once or twice they've kept the score under 50 against England, which in the grand scheme of things is a pretty decent result. But
Yeah.
They are a good side, but England are just so much better than everybody. It is just it's about how many can you keep it under. That's
It feels like how long can you keep them at bay? Because once they start, the floodgates open, and it just like I got a lot of shit for it last year because I was at 2 years ago. Sorry, I was at the Scotland England game. And like England just whitewashed them, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it was a good game." And people were like, "Look at the scoreboard." Like, don't look at the scoreboard. Like, watch the game, and you'll understand that it doesn't tell you the full story. It's cliche as hell, but we all know that's true. But yeah, I agree with Marcello there. So, and you've said Italy by 1, and I love that.
No, I don't. I don't actually mean that, but I'll say it for the pod. I'll say it for the pod. Yeah, Italy by 1.
And yeah, I mean, look, England by however many you want.
Yeah.
I'll say England by 30. I believe you can keep it by below 50. I'm not trying to sound like hurtful there. That's just the fact of life right now. England are just in cruise control, especially this year, going into next year with them hosting the Women's World Cup as well. There you go. But moving over to the Southern Hemisphere, just to quickly round off. Super Rugby, and it was a better week this week. I didn't get just the one because I was woeful last week. One right all weekend. Still not looking good for the Crusaders. Hurricanes getting a late try to win 14 points to 10 for the first time in Super Rugby history. The Crusaders have lost their first 4 games. It's not looking good. They're really missing Razor.
Wow.
Yeah. Rebels versus Reds. Reds just had an absolute field day with it, putting 53 points on them. 53-26. Reds getting a win there. Moana Pacifica getting a big win over the Western Force, 22 points to 14. It was a good game. Very physical. I loved it. I could have got a full house, but the Highlanders let me down. Brumby's getting a famous win on the road. 27-21. Fair play. You were right with this one, Andy. It was going to be a Chiefs win, but a very high-scoring game. Chiefs beating the draw 46 points to 29. There you go.
I'm happy with that.
And lastly, a proper just physical battle, no team giving in. Blues getting a win on the road against the Waratahs, 12 points to 10. So very nice and tight there. It's open season Super Rugby now. Hurricanes are still undefeated, but like apart from that, like you can't really tell who's going to show up, who's going to be the standout. It's fun, and because I don't support any of the teams, you just get to sit back and watch rugby before you take the kids to school. It's great. That's my bonus point.
That's something that I always forget about between Six Nations.
Yeah.
It's like when it actually comes around, you can't really enjoy the games because you're so invested. Like if your team's playing, you're so invested, you can't really enjoy any of the rugby. It's just tense. So it's nice to have no stake in it.
Just collect all the nice jerseys that they have. Just sit back, admire some players, keep an eye out, especially with the Pacific Nations Cup and the Rugby Championship later on in the year. Gets you a good idea who's where and build up to that. But yeah, just have fun with it. So let's predict week 5. We've got the Hurricanes hosting the Rebels. I'm going to go Canes with a big win. 5 for 5, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely Canes.
Marcello?
I'm going to be really honest here and say that I have not watched a single minute of Super Rugby.
You're that's fine.
I don't know what it is about it. I think maybe the times it's on or whatever. For whatever reason, I just don't ever end up really watching it. I loved it when COVID and they were playing when all we had to do was watch those games. That was great fun. But yeah, I just genuinely never get round to it. So I'd love to sit here and stuff, but I literally don't have a clue. Sorry, everybody. All those Super Rugby freaks out there. Sorry, my bad. I only like watching it.
Walk anyway.
I watch Benetton Zebre in Italy. That's it. The rest I don't care.
There you go. Fair enough. Brumbies hosting Moana Pacifica. Brumbies, I imagine.
Yeah.
You tell me and Andy don't really have a clue either, to be honest. But
Mate,
it's fine, though, it's
I
good.
watch the highlight packages on YouTube every week.
Yeah,
But
exactly. That's what I'm there for. That's Marcello's homework for next week.
Yeah. But just to say, just before you go on to do the rest, did either of you see the Australian rugby league game, the try that one of them scored in the corner?
Absolutely
Oh,
ridiculous.
I think it was Melbourne against New Zealand. New Zealand Warriors that they're called something. I don't know, but Melbourne scored 2 tries in the last 3 minutes to win it. If you want to find that try, the finish is a joke. It is just bonkers. You need to see it. If you haven't seen it, you need to go and find it.
I think I've just seen the thumbname.
Yeah,
that looks pretty amazing.
Mental.
Yeah,
it is mental. Such a good finish. Sorry, my bad.
No, you're all good.
Continue.
There was a great finish. Had Darren newsworthy as well. So, Fijian Drua hosting the Waratahs. Now, I love the Fijian Drua, especially at home. So I'm going to go for the Drua. Flying high again. That's my prediction.
I'm going to go for an away win.
Oh, but fair. The Waratahs are such a weird team this year so far.
Bit up and down, right?
Very up and down, but it is what it is. Chiefs versus the Highlanders. Chiefs.
I'm just going to interrupt and say I've just seen that. I'm watching that try at the moment. That is outrageous.
It was so high.
Never seen anything like that. Like, how do you control the ball the whole way on the way down? Like, anyway, sorry.
They have to. No, you're all good. They have to practice that, don't they?
I think they do. You see it quite frequently now. I saw that the Italian Twitter, I think, or Instagram, put a little reel on, and of all the wingers, all the backs practice those finishes in the corner all the time.
Okay.
But like the Australian, the rugby league guys, they are athletes. They are freaks of nature. They are
fair. What game was on? Chiefs Highlanders. Yeah, Chiefs. Easy.
Yeah,
Highlanders,
Chiefs.
bit too hot, bit too cold at times. Chiefs are just very consistent. A historical battle, but this year I can feel it being very one-sided. Blues Crusaders.
I mean,
Crusaders
Blues.
Yeah, I've got Blues. I've got Blues, but can the Crusaders finally get a win? Which sounds, even that sentence sounds ridiculous.
Sounds crazy. I'll tell you what, though, if it's coming, it's not coming away to the Blues, surely.
Not at
surely.
Not Auckland, not Eden Park.
No.
I can't see it. Final game for round 5. Western Force host the Queensland Reds. And based off last week, so I'm going for the Reds with a big win. Yeah, I can't see them getting stopped this year for the Australian franchise.
Yeah, like 50 points away from home.
Yeah.
Last week was pretty strong.
It's wild. Any news, gents? I've got one story that I've seen that I thought was quite interesting after the Six Nations. Probably should have mentioned it there, but it's fine.
Before that, I was just going to ask who everyone thinks is player of the tournament for the Six Nations. Because I can imagine you both know who I'm going to say.
Yeah, I have a pretty good idea who you're going to say.
Yeah.
And
if it's not, I am going to riot, genuinely. I'm going to Six Nations headquarters and I'm going to... So, no, you tell me first. You two tell me first.
So, I haven't decided who I think it is yet. There's a few I think have had amazing tournaments. Like Ben Earl has had an unreal tournament on an individual level. He's been class.
Well, see, that's what I wanted to ask. Does it get done on individual performance, or is it like your team did really well and you happen to do well with it, or is it join?
Yeah, I would think it has to be an individual player, just being consistently brilliant.
Hog did back to back, and we were not good those years. I'm just trying to think. It has to be individual performances, surely.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Earl or Brex, realistically, isn't it? Like one of the two.
Yeah, I think because Brex has actually got 2 official man of the matches in the last 2 games. Yeah, and I don't know if anyone else has done 2 in the tournament. I don't know. Maybe.
Good question.
But I feel like that's gotta play quite a big factor. The fact he's actually been official man of the match twice.
Did Earl not get it? Did Earl get it against Ireland, or did someone else get it?
No, Ben Earl was out against Ireland.
Because
Duhan
he got it against Wales as well. So I think he got 2 as well.
Okay, there you go then.
did Duhan get 2? I know he got it against England. Did he get it against Wales or not?
He might have, you know.
Oh, didn't someone from that game was so weird though. It was
That was
two
such a
halves
strange
of
game.
It's been a whole weird tournament. Well, from my point of view, anyway, it's been a very strange tournament. I think the short list would be Van der Merwe, Ben Earl, Menoncello or Brex, one or the other. I think either one. Both in an ideal world, but they're very weird with the nominations because sometimes it was like 4 and they've had 6, sometimes they've had 8. So I'll pick 4 just to play it safe. So Van der Merwe, Earl, Menoncello or Brex, one of them, and then probably Joe McCarthy. I imagine.
Yeah, probably Joe McCarthy. I was thinking actually because he had a quiet game against England, he's been brilliant the whole rest of the tournament.
I'm thinking I couldn't decide between big Joe McCarthy or Bundyaki. That was my
Aki had a great tournament as well.
Yeah, and I'd throw Lamaro in there as well. He smashed the tackle stats.
True, yeah.
By a considerable margin, and he's brilliant. But I think they're my 3 Italian nominations, and I think Ben Earl, Bundyaki was another one on my mind. McCarthy.
Are you going to think Bill Byers nominations? Are we? You picked out 3 Italians.
Mate, if any of those 3 Italians won it, I don't think many people would complain.
No, nobody would complain.
I think people would be pretty happy with that.
I had it as Menoncello before the game against Wales, and now I'm thinking it's got to be Brex. I think it's got to be Brex. And I think I do think there will be an element of everyone sort of giving a nod to the fact Italy have seriously turned up, and it's great for the tournament. It's great for Six Nations. It's great for rugby. So I do think that will sway it a little bit. I do feel like there's enough. Mainly me and my Italian boys getting all big time on social media, giving it the big ones about our players. But so I do think that might play a little bit into it. But I don't think that Brex definitely deserves it. I think bias aside, I think he's just been phenomenal. He's led that defense. Been so impressive.
Who's in your team of the tournament? If you could remember it, or if you have done it, because I've posted mine today.
I've got mine on my app. Hang on.
I believe it's. I'll say mine when Andy's finding his.
Is this did you do it on the Six Nations app?
I just did it on the app. Yeah, because I couldn't.
There was some of the choices it gave you. I was a bit surprised at. Like there were some names I would like to have seen in there that weren't in there.
I would have. I wish they would have done like maybe not a full bench, but even like 3 like honourable mention players you could have done. But it's fine.
Yeah.
I've got my front row is Pierre Schumann, Dan Sheehan, and Winnie Antonio. Also, just saying that out loud. Good luck stopping those lads. Second row, I've gone full Irish. I've got Joe McCarthy and I've got Tyg Byrne. My back row is tasty, especially if you could get them all playing together. I've got Tommy Raphael, Mikel Amaro, and Ben Earl. Halfbacks, I've gone Jameson Gibson Park and I went Finn Russell. Centres, I went Menoncello and I went Aki. But Brex was. I'm sorry.
What?
What? Jesus.
Oh my god,
like Brex was really close. It was very close. I'm sorry, Marcello. Back 3, I've gone Duhan van der Merwe, James Lowe, and Thomas Ramos, and I'm really sorry, Marcello.
So mine is crazy similar. Actually, it's mad how so front row's the same. Antonio, Sheehan, Schumann. Second row's the same. Back row's the same. I think Reffel, Earl, and Lamaro. And then Gibson Park and Finn Russell. I have the 2 Italians in the centre, and then Lowe, Capuzzo, and Duhan as my back 3.
Okay. Oh, see, you like? Yeah, no, he's not on the way to yours. I've seen that.
Yeah, I haven't done mine yet, but I don't think I'd have any real disagreement. I don't think Finn Russell's had a great tournament. By his standards, I'm not sure he's been at it consistently enough. That's my sort of.
Do you know? I'm kind of with you there. I think the reason I picked him is he still, when he's playing well, looks the most complete 10. in the Six Nations. Like when he's managing a game, when he's pulling the strings, I don't think there's anyone else out there at the moment who's that good. Although saying that, I thought George Ford was amazing yesterday. Maybe he should have been in there.
I think you've got to give a nod to George Ford because he adapts with the team. He always does, and he always has. Whichever team he gets put in, he manages. He can do a job there, and I think he's not sort of as flashy as Finn Russell.
He's as flashy as
but I just think, I'd edge with George Ford.
I went Finn purely because obviously. But, purely because right up till round 4, he didn't miss a kick from the tee.
Yeah,
he was flying high, and until Francis had to show up yesterday, and Thomas Ramos was very comfy. Finn Russell was leading the total points of the tournament, so put some respect on his name.
Thinking about it though,
Finn's a weird one. I get what you're saying about the whole hasn't played great. I don't think it's not that he's played great. I think it's because of how he plays. So you're expecting offloads out the back.
It almost brings it on to another question with Finn Russell, is there a case that we know what he's capable of, but is he consistent enough? And can he, when the going gets tough or you're in a game where you've got to properly manage it, I'm just still not totally convinced he can do that. I
think he can. And I think the issue is because he's now captain and players didn't see him as a captain. So, like the Wales game, Finn got asked what went wrong. He went, nobody listened. So that's a player that's getting ignored as the leader, or isn't getting seen as the leader, that's a tricky situation to get out of. Yeah. And that's when you get the frustration of well, fuck it, we'll just kick it away, sort of thing. I don't know. I still highly rate Finn.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not because I'm Scottish. That's probably
no. I think everyone knows what he's capable of. I think for Scotland to actually win a tournament, he has to play well for 5 games, and he never seems to be able to do that.
I don't think he gets the platform. Like when you think of like the great Rolls Royce out halves, like they usually play for teams with a giant pack who make sure they're on the front foot most of the time.
Yeah, that's true.
See, I was thinking about this today. Really, to go like heavy in the pack for Scotland, it would still be Schumann, probably Ashman. I think he's heavier than George Turner. You would then have Xander because Xander's a big old boy. I imagine, obviously, if fully fit, it would be Richie Gray because Richie's a big, tall boy, so he's because of height he becomes heavy. I don't get how that works, but it does. I want to say Grant Gilchrist is heavier than Scott Cummins. I could be wrong in saying that, but I feel like Grant is heavier. Then you would have.
I like Cummings though. He's got a bit of dog in him. Like
I do like Cummings. I'm happy either way.
Yeah.
Because you could always have the experience come off the bench in Gilchrist, so I'm good with it. For heavy to start, you would have probably Matt Fagerson at the 6, Andy Christie at 7, with Jack Dempsey at the 8. And I know that means dropping Darge. Darge is fantastic, but he's not the heaviest. We're just doing weight distribution right now.
Yeah.
And then the backs you'd have Ben White, Finn, Sione, or Stafford, either or. I think they're cemented into 12. Hugh Jones at 13. Doohan. I'm not convinced on Kyle staying at the 14. I would have had Kyle Rowe. I think you need to have a bigger winger and then a lightning quick one. I think every team seems to do it, and it kind of works. We've got that weird. Like Kyle Rowe's not the smallest guy, so it's kind of like you've got muscle on muscle. I'm like, no, nothing against Kyle staying. He's very good, but I'd prefer Kyle Rowe, or if he's ever fit again, I'd like to see Darcy Graham, obviously, and Blair Kinghorn at fullback. So yeah, I agree with the heavy distribution. So I think that would be my team probably like strongest team going forward, like the All Test team. Take it from there.
Yeah, I think maybe in terms of the team, like maybe Cassam a shout at second row, maybe. Then otherwise, what you guys have said, I'd probably go along with. But Menoncello and Brex.
I'm never gonna get. He's never gonna let that one slide, is he?
Mate, you have to let him enjoy it.
I'm actually chuffed that I got to pick Menoncello in the centres because in fantasy he was a back three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really annoying that.
It was so stupid. But hey, that was this week's Rugby Connection. We've crushed Super Saturday and overview of the 2024 Men's Six Nations. Had a quick insight of the Women's Six Nations. Tried our best at Super Rugby, but Marcello let the side down. And we've spoke about the future for
Scotland.
For Scotland, yeah. Mostly Scotland. I forgot about the news, but it's okay. It was a weird one. It was about Gatland offering his resignation, and WIU went, no.
That's weird.
It's so weird that he talked about it.
Yeah, it's a
so
strange
weird.
dynamic. It feels like is he trying
to get out? Yeah,
dig out the dub?
That's what it feels like.
He's trying to dig them out by saying, "Look, I wanted to resign, but they won't let me." It's sort of like almost getting excuses in for Wales being bad going forward. It's like, well, I did offer to resign, but they didn't let me. So it now seems like Gatland's been trapped by the WIU.
That way, I want to go.
Yeah. I think he does just want to go home.
I think that's it.
Who can blame him?
Mate,
there's
a weird thing about the way he's running the team, though. Like, he did an article in the Telegraph, I think, after the World Cup, being like, "Oh, everybody's kicking it too much," complaining about fans don't want to come and see people kicking the ball, blah 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 blah. All that sort of stuff that your dad says when you're watching rugby. It's like if you look at the stats throughout the tournament, you look at how much Wales carry the ball and what they get out of it. It's like they're killing themselves in every game. They're knackering themselves, fighting for like 2 or 3 meters here and there. Doesn't impact the outcome of the game at all, except knackering them out. And then I just don't understand how he's putting them out there every week and being like, "Yeah, just run the ball. Just go for it." It's like you're in your own half. How many turnovers did the Italians get? Like, they knew exactly what Wales were going to do. They were ready at the breakdown. It's a bizarre thing for him to be doing, given that he's been such a good coach for such a long time.
This summer's going to be so strange because is it not Wales, Australia?
Is it?
Yeah. Sure it is. I'm sure it's Wales, Australia, because that's just weird. Because like Wales with a wooden spoon, Australia, well, we don't know what a Joe Schmidt Wallaby side looks like, but they're all in turmoil after the mess Eddie Jones left behind. Who jokingly has now come out and said that they need to expand this new attacking way of Japanese rugby. Oh, shut up! You can't do that.
Did you see he said he thought they could get in the top 4 in the world?
Yeah. Oh, he's a muppet, honestly. I used to actually kind of like Eddie Jones, but now there's just, I'm like, oh, he just waffles, honestly. So I'm very intrigued. I shouldn't be that intrigued, but it's got my interests of Wales, Australia this summer because
they'll play the Box B team as well.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sound arrogant. I'm not worried about Scotland summer too. Now, I have no reason to be worried about Scotland summer too.
It'll be a fun tour though. You're playing some of those.
It'll be fun to get the new boys out, new systems, new partnerships. Yeah, and that's long-term thinking. I'm all for it. But I'm also like, I'm not expecting much from Canada. Chile, Uruguay, because we've seen them at the World Cup. But
Uruguay will be a good game.
Uruguay will be a really fun game. But I don't know. It's just a very strange one. Whereas Ireland have South Africa, which is
amazing, but I'm dreading it a bit because a lot of pressure. And the way when they beat you, they molest you. Do you know what I mean? Like it's criminal what they do to you. It's right. I'm worried about that.
England, New Zealand.
That could be huge.
That could be massive now. How England have performed the last 2 weeks, that could be huge. But whereas at the start of the tournament, when they went, England's got New Zealand, they went, why? I want to
But
know
I-
how they decide who goes where.
Well, it'll be lots of money
I know.
talks.
Because
Yeah.
it just feels like we're never in that. Like there was a rumoured Scotland New Zealand tour years ago, and it just never. I think it didn't happen because of the pandemic, and there's just never been a discussion since. I'm like, well, where did our tour go?
We talked about this last time. You don't seem to get as many games against the big sides.
No, we're not
It's-
allowed.
It's a strange one.
We have to wait till the autumn, which is fine because I get to go. Which I'm all good about that.
Yeah.
But I want to get up early in the summer and watch Scotland against the All Blacks or Scotland. Maybe I'll take Australia in a series. That'd be fun. Not Argentina because they did that really stupid last year. That was like my one big issue with the SRU last year or 2 years ago. Sorry. That we did a three.
I've just remembered I think we've got Japan, Samoa, Portugal, and one other.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not playing a tier 1 team. We're playing a series of bits like Scotland.
Still though, I'd want to watch all those games. Those will be good games to watch. And Italy should, the way you're playing, you should win all of them pretty comfortably.
But it'd also be a case of being able to play a few new players as well, which would be nice.
Yeah, true.
I think that's what we use the summer for, and that's why we don't do the big tours.
That's what the summer seems to be about. Summer seems to be about just come off the Six Nations, let's play some new faces, and then in the autumn, when everyone comes to the home nations, then we'll put on a show with the big guns. Anyway, lads, my phone is literally about to die. So
good. That's a good way to round off. Anyway,
good to chat, fellas.
See you later.
You too, mate.
Ta-da.
He was literally missing the outro. We're literally just rounding off. But this has been the Rugby Connection podcast. Back to club duty next week for the most part, and then obviously Women's Six Nations. I don't know if you're with us next week, Andy. That's up to you. It's all on you now.
I'll let you know if I'm around. I'll definitely do it.
All good. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on TikTok. Follow Andy over on TikTok at Rugby Nos. Please follow myself at Boss for Rugby. Yeah, that's it. Really, that's all.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again, Murray. It's been great.
Always welcome. And this has been Rugby Connection podcast, and we'll see you next time.